And we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here from Droid Life. We have a very special Droid Life / Tato Life show. I'm branding this the Phoenix edition because the Tato show has not been around for I think almost a year now. I think it was like last winter last time we did one. So tonight I'm joined by my good friend Dave Cover, and of course Droid Life's very own iOS-loving Rana Fringa. And we also have a very special guest, Mr. Marcus Brownlee, aka MKBHD. Yes, so
Thank
it's
you.
going. Oh yeah, of course. Welcome. I hope we have a fantastic time talking Android, fun stuff. We're going to be talking about your G-Flex video that you put up this week that's been all over the internet and even like TV, actual news.
Real news? What?
Real news, dude. Congrats on that. So let's actually kick it off with that. The G-Flex, it's still unavailable here in the States on U.S. carriers. We're waiting to get launch dates. We see that's kind of trickling through FCC and all this fun stuff. We're waiting. And so you're one of the only person actually I know that owns one of these devices. Let us hear your kind of impressions of the G-Flex.
Okay, so the device all around, it's like, I don't know, it's a weird phone, first of all. So obviously it has this, like, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's looking like a giant Galaxy Nexus is the way I would describe it. It's a 6-inch 720p display right off the bat, and it's not actually glass on the front, it's plastic. So it feels like a big plastic Galaxy S4 shaped like a Galaxy Nexus. And then it has the LG G2 buttons on the back, which some people also has that notification light. Some people like it, some people hate it, but it's there again. And then it has LG's interesting software that is also love or hate it.
It's pretty much the same software that's on the G2, correct?
Not quite, because this is a Korean version of the phone, so it's Android 4.2.2 underneath it. But yeah, it's really similar to the G2 software, but slightly different. And it's fast. The battery lasts forever. It has a 3,500 milliamp hour battery, which is, I think, the biggest in any phone I've ever used, next to the Oppo.
Better than the Nexus 5, probably.
Definitely, yes. And I don't know, it's weird. So in the video, I was testing the back of the phone, which it's supposed to be the self-healing technology where it sort of fills in the cracks where if you might scuff the phone a little bit, it'll sort of smooth it out over it. So when you first get the phone, it looks a lot like a Galaxy S4, where it's really glossy and fingerprinty and shiny and smooth. And it stays that way if you don't scratch it. But when you scratch it, it's really obvious that it's been scratched. I guess it would be more obvious if it was soft touch or any other material. But then you scratch it and it's supposed to heal over itself, so that's what my video was about. And it kind of sort of works a little bit for some stuff. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty subjective when you're doing your reviews. I mean, so far...
You mean objective?
No, he's being, like, subjective in where he's trying to go for, you know...
That means he's influenced by other ideas. Objectives means that he's ignoring other people's opinions.
Interesting. Well, thanks, Ron.
Not to be a jerk or anything, but...
No, please.
Unless you're saying he's heavily influenced by other people, then, you know, you can say that to his face, I guess. That's fine.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I've had a long day. Anyways, so you're very objective when reviewing devices. Say, you know, on a 1 to 10 scale, give it to me straight with the G-Flex.
The whole thing?
Yep, whole package. Although, I know it's the Korean version, so it's hard, but...
Yeah, if I paid what I paid for this and wasn't a reviewer, I would give it like a 5. But as a person who's used like a ton of other phones and has a good idea of the relative experience, I'd give it like a 6.5. The camera's decent too. I didn't mention that. The camera's pretty good.
How many megapixels on that?
13. It might be the same optics as the G2 because it's really nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too happy with your rating. That kind of sucks. I was really hoping to like try one out when it comes on AT&T or something.
Yeah, there's just like a couple things that I just like really don't like. Like a lot of it is better than the G2. Like the back buttons are actually a little bit improved. The notification light is now way cooler. I don't know if it's gonna.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
I dig the color, and I also actually really like the G2 buttons. So
yeah, so I got used to
nice
it.
For me, it's a pretty thin looking device. So
it is, and I don't know how there's a 3,500 milliamp hour battery in there, but I'll take it.
And you
The
can
thing is, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Ron?
I was just gonna say you're right. You're right with the profile view. It definitely looks like a Galaxy Nexus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cool, Dave. What do you think, G Flex? I know you can't wait to pick one up.
I mean, I'm not really looking for that big of a phone, so it's not really going to be an option for me.
Yeah.
It was like $100 off contract on Amazon for a day.
You know, it's not a removable back, right?
No.
Because I was going to say I'd buy a back just to sit there and play with the self-heal technology, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I'm hoping for. Have you done the whole place it on a flat surface and kind of bend it down, and have you gotten really hard on it?
Yeah, it's a stunner. People
I was in the same video, man.
I mean, people watched it. People care.
Now, you paid for that personally. It wasn't them, because I would have liked to have seen you raise the edges a little bit and see if you could have gotten it to flex in the opposite direction.
Flex more in the or flex.
Flex the opposite way. So
switch
like
the other
right
way.
now it's curved this way, so get the curve to go the other way. You'll probably break something. I don't know if you should really go too far.
Oh, go for it.
I pushed it on the table and I went completely flat in my videos, so I lost the entire curve. So I minimized the curve to 0. I haven't gone in the opposite direction yet.
I wouldn't do that.
No.
I totally would. Why not?
You know, everyone's got those drop tests. Why don't you do the opposite flex test? That's all I'm asking for.
I'm gonna do the rip the phone in half test in my next video. Snap it.
Very nice. For anyone watching, we have the Q&A part on the Google Hangouts totally open, so if you have any questions for Marcus or anyone else, feel free to throw your questions in there. We already have one question, so I'll get right to it. Current daily driver, I know you're always playing with something new, probably every week just because you're doing different videos or reviews. I mean, so far, if you had to just choose one phone to be your daily driver, because I know you're always switching, what phone would you probably choose?
Today it's the Nexus 5, just because of KitKat. So I've been carrying it since my review. Yes, the Panda phone, exactly.
Or Stormtrooper. I know you're more into the Stormtrooper.
Yeah, I've been calling it that. So I'm Nexus 5 right now for KitKat, but I really miss the battery life of phones like the Moto X and the Note 3. And I feel like as soon as we get a nice, stable CyanogenMod ROM for the Note 3, I'm going to be back on that with KitKat.
Oh,
but right now, Nexus 5.
So back to the Note 3.
Probably. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. And Dave, what about you? I'm going to go all around the board, except Ron, because I know you're rocking an iPhone 5C. No offense, I love you.
No, it's fine. My opinion doesn't matter. It's fine.
No, it totally does. It's just your phone will never change.
Well, no, because we could ask him if he prefers the 5S over, like, I don't know, 4S or something. There's different tastes there.
That's true. I'm still waiting for his review of, like, iOS 7 and all that fun stuff, so
Yeah,
we're waiting.
The readers want to know.
You know,
to answer your question, Tim, I have two daily drivers right now. Because I'm testing out the Straight Talk in this area after the lovely article about prepaid. So
thank you,
that's what I'm
Kellen.
doing. But so Nexus 5 to test that out, and then it'll probably get put on the shelf as I keep the Moto X on Verizon.
Nice. How is the Straight Talk treating you?
It's actually really good. T-Mobile I've tried before, and they were absolutely terrible in this area. So the Straight Talk has actually been pretty promising. Speeds are about, that's the worst part, about a tenth of what I'm seeing on LTE, but I'm also paying, less than half of what I'm paying on Verizon.
A fraction of that money, exactly.
Actually, it might be a third of what I'm paying, so.
Not bad.
I was using Straight Talk a little earlier. I canceled my Straight Talk line and my Verizon line finally, and just went all in on AT&T. But when I was with Straight Talk, like the coverage was pretty decent, but sometimes I would just drop off for no reason, like in the New York area. So that didn't really work in New York City for me. But yeah,
AT&T.
AT&T.
That's hurtful.
Yeah.
Yeah, AT&T. I mean, at least in my area, AT&T is probably either that or Verizon. But AT&T's got it kind of on lockdown, at least in my neighborhood. Sprint. Unfortunately, my daily driver, I feel like this is a nightmare. I'm rocking the HTC One Max, at least for a week. I mean, until my review's probably done. But boy, this phone, talk about a giant. And not, it's a Leviathan is how I kind of like tried to word it. I mean, it's just huge, and it's obnoxiously huge. And there's no reason for the extra size, besides the big screen. Just no stylus, no nothing. Sure, I mean,
Big battery.
Yeah, big battery, but like, Oh
Get some
well.
fun with that,
Yeah, definitely. If you need a phone to last you all day, I'm sure it'll get the job done. But so far, I mean, with the fingerprint scanner, I told you guys before, but the fingerprint scanner is in the worst possible space because, when you're kind of holding it regularly and you say the phone prompts you to enter in your fingerprint, and you're like, okay, so you go into swipe, but then to even swipe, you have to go right over your camera. And so then my pictures turn out all crappy, and it's so far. I mean, I just got it this morning, so far my experiences have been quite poor. And Sprint, I couldn't have any worse coverage than I do in my house with Sprint, so that's a bummer. Other than that, so far, ultra pixel camera, decent. The UI is still, I mean, it's all Sense 5.5, Android 4.3. So I mean, it's fast. Snapdragon 600. It's not the coolest phone, but it's definitely big. I mean, in comparison to like the little baby one, it was just like a little mini compared to this phone.
Jeez.
Like I said, I put this next to my
mini?
face, and oh no, I do not have the mini, but it is a mini compared.
It looks like the one mini next to that thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, it's bigger than my head. So yeah, that's my daily driver. But of course, Nexus 5 running stock Android. It is a gorgeous thing. So let's get into some of the news that's been going about. Big one is Moto X getting the updated to Android 4.4 KitKat on Verizon, and now AT&T. Apparently the soak tests are rolling out this evening, or at least the announcement, the invite for the soak test. So KitKat, Moto X on Verizon. I mean, we've always said like hell is freezing over when Verizon gets updates first, and not even just like quickly, but first. And it's kind of like a deal breaker, especially when Google's having troubles even sending out 4.4 OTA updates to the Nexus 7 line of tablets. Dave, I know you're rocking a Moto X, correct?
Yeah, it's a pleasant surprise to have the phone updated so quickly, and the fact that it's on Verizon. I mean, any phone that gets updated quick is a surprise, because usually we're used to the lag, and all right, they announced a new version of Android. It doesn't matter what phone you have, you got like a 3 to 5 month waiting period before you even hear about the upgrade coming out. But here we are. What are we still within a month, or is it a little longer?
It's like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
3
it's
weeks.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Yeah, so here we are, and now we have KitKat on a device that is out in the wild. It's crazy.
I think it's pretty fantastic. Ron, I know that you don't have much experience with KitKat or Moto X, or I mean, but I know that you've been here long enough.
Just keep digging it in.
No, but hey, I'm just getting you back for earlier.
Yeah.
But I know that you've been here long enough to know the troubles that Verizon owners have had with updates. Thoughts on Moto, a Google company, kind of changing this around?
Right. Yeah. That definitely has a firewall between them. That's really real. So.
What's
Yeah,
the big deal? What's the big deal?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the big question, I guess, is why would Verizon approve it so quickly? That's the question. They've never. I mean, as far as I know, there's zero precedent for that on any Android phone.
That was a nice.
I think there's
bite.
something going on behind the scenes
Yeah,
for that.
making the sausage there, but yes, that's. I mean, that's the. In my opinion, that's the kind of the strange thing about it is that that they approve the update that quickly, and that it's on the Moto X and not on the Droid line. So, which is essentially, they're essentially the same phone.
It's coming. They announced it.
Yeah, it's kind of, but it's
I
just.
think that's more on Motorola's end, that they want to promote their latest phone versus updating the ones that they don't even like because they're old product.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good if you're on Verizon, then that's. I mean, even the Galaxy Nexus on Verizon is still behind the rest of the other Galaxy Nexuses. I mean, it's insanely unprecedented for that to happen. For a number of reasons. So that's the big question that it left me with is just why did Verizon not necessarily change their tune, because they you still can't even get a Nexus 7 on Verizon network, but. It's just an interesting thing. So, whether it's just because Verizon enjoys their relationship with Motorola since they're continuing to spit out Droid phones for them, or what, we probably won't ever know the details behind that. But that's what I think is interesting about it. But it's it's great for Moto X users. It's awesome.
Exactly. In terms of KitKat performance, Dave, I do not have a Moto X running KitKat, but KitKat being on the Moto X, performance-wise, totally awesome and what we expected.
I've noticed a couple hiccups coming from the active notifications that previously weren't there, and some also visual glitches, because now that we have the transparent notification bar and the nav bar, I've noticed that it kind of like flashes in, like you go to load the app and then it's like a transparency type like glitch little thing. It's just a very small nuance that I've noticed. So it's just not as smooth, but that's something that they can update because active notifications is through Google Play.
Correct.
So the only other gripe that I have would be something that they probably could prevent, but Verizon doesn't let them, and that's the 4G LTE logo in the status bar. Because even when you're on Wi-Fi, that thing is just sitting there. I mean, it's cool to know that you're on 4G, not 3G, but at least if I'm on Wi-Fi, take it off. But the thing is that we removed the KitKat removed the indicators for if your data's transferring. So I feel like at the same time that logo should have been taken off of the bar.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
It's a small little thing, but
it's an eyesore. It's fine to be nitpicky. It's totally fine.
Those are my biggest gripes with the update. Otherwise, it's not the first KitKat device I've had because I do have a Nexus 5, so it's not like I'm like, oh, KitKat. So I actually have a comparison, from one device to another. But I would say it's comparable to the Nexus 5 in terms of speeds and
performance.
Yeah.
All that. Nice. Marcus, favorite feature of KitKat? Go.
Right now, I've been loving the full screen album art when I'm in Google Play Music, and I just wake up my phone and I'm like, oh, that's what the album art looks like. Like, I never cared before what the album art looked like, but now I actually think about that kind of stuff.
That's actually a really good one. I was going to say like the translucent status bar or navigation bar, but now that you mentioned that, I've noticed that I've been paying a lot more attention to album art. And I just love waking up the device and seeing that stuff. That's really nice. Dave, favorite KitKat feature? Go.
I don't really have a favorite feature of KitKat. I mean, I like the update in general, but they didn't really add anything that
there's nothing at all that you enjoy about it.
No, I mean,
I'm going to ask Ron the same thing about iOS 7, so don't worry, you got time.
I mean, because you could say that
I can answer about Android too. I have thoughts.
I mean,
I know you do.
Man, you're trolling hard tonight.
He already stole the full screen album art, so that kind of was like the one big like standout change you notice. But I mean, I think
you don't like the bigger icons, or
well, the
icon thing is all jacked up.
I run a custom launcher, and my icons are always 130%, so they're always large. So that wasn't really a change for me.
What about the new Google Now stuff with the swipe? Assuming you're using that launcher every once in a while.
No, because I do a lot of development testing on the 5, so I'm always running the third-party launchers. I haven't really done much with gel. But I mean, to me, I don't see the point in that because I can still swipe up with the home button. So for me, the whole like swipe left isn't really a necessity. Now, if I was still using the S4, I would want that launcher because then I could swipe over because you don't have you have the physical buttons.
Right.
So in that case, I would want to see that feature. But if you're on a device that has these software keys, to me it just seems like it's unnecessary. I mean, I get why they did it. It's a smoother experience because you're already within the app, so they just switch the view, and it's smoother. I get that. I already had it to swipe away.
Makes sense.
Sorry to be such a downer.
No, man, it's cool. Nitpicky.
Stealing my job, man.
Yeah. Ron, please, KitKat, favorite feature. Let's hear it.
I think my favorite feature on KitKat is at least with the launcher, which they're doing a lot of weird things with that, but making it basically the Google search app and all that. But
why wouldn't they? And now you're saying weird, but why wouldn't they want what makes Google built right into something you use constantly all day long?
Oh yeah, I think that's their move after what's his last name? It's Ron, the other Ron from he's at Ars Technica now. I don't remember his last name ever.
Armamino? Yeah.
Ron A. Yeah.
Ron A.
He wrote that article. He's the first one that I saw that really exposed that it's the search app now. And after he wrote that, my immediate response was, hey, that's how Google's going to monetize Android. There's been this gap for a long time. So it's for them being able to monetize Android and get those numbers up. I think it's a good move for them financially.
Unless they're running a device that's not a Nexus and they have a skin on top.
Well, but if they
can't really monetize an entire OS just through.
I'm confused about that angle. How is having that in the search app going to increase their advertising revenue?
Well, when you look at things like when you type into the dialer and you've got Google Search integrated there, when you look into things like I'm assuming if they're going to really use this, that they're going to tell manufacturers either A, that they have to put some of that Google Now integration in their launcher, or B, when you hit home, you're going to be able to pick between Google Home, the Google launcher, or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. I also wouldn't be surprised if in the Play Store and in Google Now they start saying, hey, do you want to have the Google experience? Because you can get the Google launcher, you can get all the Google apps, the keyboard, all that stuff on your phone. So you get the Google experience. I wouldn't be surprised if that's right around the corner.
Well, I do see them getting ready to push the launcher to phones. They're going to wait for KitKat to roll out because it has that home, the launcher section in settings as an easy way to switch. I think they're just waiting for the rest of the devices to roll out and KitKat to be through, and then you're going to see the Google Experience launcher roll out on Google Play.
Right. So, but that's getting into the idea of like how they're going to monetize that. Like it's putting all those search things up front there. And then for advertisers to say, hey, when somebody types in pizza on their Google phone, do you want to be the first result?
Oh yeah.
Pay a little, like that's how they monetize mobile. That's a huge deal, and nobody's really talked about that angle of why they're doing that. But I think it's just blatant. Like that's how they're going to make money on Android. That's how they're going to pick that up in a way that they can't do on iOS, right? If you have a new iOS device, which is right now how they're making most of their money. The default search engine has been switched to Bing. Not because it's better, but because Apple wants to screw Google. Most people, there was a report that came out, most people are using the stock Maps app. They're not switching to Google Maps. Most people aren't using the Google Search app. I think we're going to see that shift, and we're going to see Android take over in terms of money, and they're going to have the users too. So we're finally going to see Google making money on Android, and I think that's their way to do it.
Yeah, it's smart. Makes sense. I find that even myself, I've just been using Google Now a lot more often than I was previously, because now I don't have to press a button to kind of get in there or swipe up at all. Like I'm always on my home screen, so I just swipe over and boom, Google Now. I find myself doing Google searches more often just for random things, just because like, hey, it's super easy, it was easy before, but I feel like it's even easier now. So and more searches means more rev. So that's great. I kind of dig it.
Yeah.
I'm digging KitKat. I can't get over it. But I keep saying like I'm gonna go straight back to the Moto X once Woodbacks come out and it's on KitKat, and life will be sweet.
Yeah, they just need to standardize those icon designs.
Yeah, no, I agree. But then again, if it's my phone that I don't have to review, then I immediately throw Nova launcher on there anyway.
But even so, well,
and probably some Stark or Nox or something like that.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. What Marquez is going on right here.
This is my dock right now. It's not going to focus, but just the camera and there it is.
There we go.
The camera in the Play Store sitting there in my dock. My eye twitches every time I see that.
Right? Like that's what they need to fix.
Yeah. I don't know if mine will.
Well, it looks like either the camera's sitting too high or the Play Store is.
Come on, baby.
I'm voting that it's the camera icon.
I think it's the camera app it's not a square like everything else. So
they just need to. You don't need it to be a square. I mean, as long as everything...
No, just increase the size of it, and you should be
fine.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to be able to increase the size of it because then it'll throw off the proportions that they're going for. And all they got to do is just center the icon in the space, and then at least everything's in a line.
You can center it, which I think is what they were doing before, but then you still have the sizes are still all over the place.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you see highlighted is like Google Search, Google Plus, and Google Settings. Those are all in like a box. Shape, but they're all different sizes. At least,
right? It's just like, come on.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh, I can't unsee this stuff anymore.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're never going to see them go the iOS route and have everything
a
be
unified
in a
look.
silhouette. Yeah, but
well, I don't think they need to though. I mean that's kind of the cool thing is like between icon packs and everything else like that, which generally standardize the size and look of things. But I think them just saying, hey, we're gonna like make it at least this, like you can have like a round icon or whatever, but make it so that it fits right,
Well, they used to have that all listed on their design guidelines. They used to have a whole thing about how much padding. If you have this, you need to have, if it's a circle, you can go out an extra 2 spaces. If it's a square, you need to shrink it down because it feels a lot more solid throughout.
Right.
But it's all a bunch of different teams for all their apps, so of course we're going to have, different.
They're all over the place. But they've got to stop saying that they're guidelines. They got to say, hey, this is a requirement. You're going to be in the Play Store. Your icon needs to fit these standards. And then that problem's solved. Like Google's always done that where they say open always wins, but guess what? It doesn't always win. And so like if you want your stuff to look right, make that a standard, and then all your icons will look right when you're using a stock launcher and not doing crazy
do you know
icons.
we would lose so many apps off of the Play Store because there's so many developers who can't afford to have
you don't get rid of the old ones. You just, if it's old, then you keep the legacy in there. But if you're going to update your app, then you say, hey, this is the new requirement. And
I mean, they have the guide, but then you could say they could do the same thing for the app designs too. That's why it's all guidelines, because they want you to fall in, but they're not going to oppress you like you might find in like the iTunes store where you can't, if Apple doesn't like your app, it's not going up. Because we're getting to that level of control where you're like, well, these are requirements now. Because then what if they're like, well, you're required to have, the action bar has to have this in it and has to have this in it, and then what if it just doesn't fit a specific app?
Right. Well, it's not about if Google makes one thing a requirement, then everything goes downhill from there. Like that's not the issue, right? And we've already seen that Google is crazy controlling. If we think back to the Moto X, and I believe it was one of the Galaxy phones with the whole skyhook thing back in 2009, where all of the phones were delayed and they had all sorts of GPS issues because Google wanted to have all that GPS data.
Well, yeah, but that's because you're messing with their primary mode of business. The icons aren't doing that.
Well, no, but if you want to have a operating system that looks nice, that's what you do. You create standards and say, hey, follow these standards.
They do have standards that you're supposed to follow. It's supposed to have a slight...
Supposed to, but that's the difference. Supposed to.
You know what I think it is? We just need Google to have all of their designers get together and be that example and have their portfolio of icons all have the same. Because you have some that bring over the Chrome style. You have some, it's that 2D flat with a little bit of shading. You have some that are just old and have like that kind of skeuomorphic 3D tone. And then you have the ones that are a little more holo-ish, if you wanted to say that, where they're flat, but they're not flat, but they have that perspective that they want with the top down a little bit. It's just a mess right now. They just need to all get together and say, hey, let's do this. This is a Google suite of apps. Like you should be able to click Google link in the Play Store and just see a whole set of icons that just work together.
Right.
And then
like the in-app design where they're all bringing in that tray from the side and they slowly bring it to all the different apps.
Hamburger menu.
Like they should lock that in. They should lock in icon size and design. They should lock some things in and make an example of it.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I was really hoping that we'd see that with KitKat, because they've been due for They've talked a big game with design, and they've done a lot of really great stuff, specifically since we're starting to see a lot more of the Google Now language, for lack of a better term. Shifting away from holo or however we're supposed to say that. I think it's holo. But
I thought it was holo too. I'm team holo all the way, but
holo.
It's holo.
It's
YOLO. So.
YOLO. I think so. We've seen that kind of shift towards that kind of design, which I think looks nice, but it's not unified in any way. It'd be nice for them to see them unify that with, like Dave, like you were saying, with icon stuff and even more so with in-app stuff, where hey, this is what a Google app looks like. This is the experience, and this is the standard for what an Android app should look like. It doesn't have to be that way. You can have your Instagrams and your Facebooks and your Twitter, but this is what a standard app should look like.
The thing with the sliding menu on the side is that that's only supposed to be used for sections of an app that are distinctly separate from other sections. You're not actually supposed to rely on that to be your main navigation through an app. It's part of the guidelines for the navigation drawer, is that you're not supposed to have that be your main method of navigation in like a specific app. So something like Google Plus that has a ton of different areas and whatnot. I mean, you even get a separate You even get a separate slide menu if you go into the photos section now. It becomes a completely different
I get lost in
slide
that.
menu.
Yeah.
But if you have something like, I mean, even Facebook makes sense, but if you have a small app that's like a calculator or something and it has different modes, you shouldn't use the slide menu to switch between them. That should be the drop-down spinner from the action bar to switch between those.
Ugh, but it's so inelegant.
So
Slide from the
glad
side
I'm,
looks a lot better.
I'm a developer.
Hmm.
Well, so we've not come to a conclusion to that conversation whatsoever.
well, the conversation may have concluded. We just haven't come to a consensus.
Okay.
Yes, the icons need to be adjusted.
Yeah, okay.
We all
can
agree
all
on that. Maybe not how or why.
Or why.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to move on anyways. Nexus 10. So the Nexus 10 over the weekend, a couple of leaks happened. Apparently, supposedly, reportedly, a couple leaks took place that featured an LG-made tablet, which appears to be like a 10-inch tablet, but there's nothing to kind of get an idea for how big it actually is. So it could even be an 8-inch. It just kind of looks big, so we just assume it's 10.1 inch. It's a new Nexus 10. I mean, it had a huge LG logo watermark plastered all over it, so everyone on the internet just assumes, okay, LG's making the new Nexus, even though that there's no shred of like real evidence that this is actually happening. But we take it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, at first it was Samsung. We even had Google say, Sundar was like, okay, it's definitely going to be Samsung's already making it. I mean, it's confirmed. He brought it up, not us, And then it was Asus going to be making one, and so now it's LG. I don't know, Dave, Marcus, anyone here have a Nexus 10 tablet?
Oh, a Nexus 10.
Yeah.
I got one right here.
I have one. I just haven't turned it on in about a year, so it's
reach
somewhere.
Mine sits in a drawer. I have it out just because I upgraded it to KitKat. That's all.
All right.
I might be the only one in the world who uses it all the time.
Really?
It's the one tablet I use all the time, until recently because I got the iPad Air, the only
Don't
thing.
say anything, Ron.
No, I'm just gonna chuckle quietly to myself while he uses a real tablet. That's fine.
The only thing I use tablets for is browsing like the web and like Feedly and watching videos and reading sometimes. I don't even game that much on tablets. I game a little bit, maybe 10% of my time. But like 75% of the stuff I do on tablets is watching videos. And the Nexus 10 is the ideal tablet to do exactly that with because it has a huge 2560 by 1600 widescreen display with front-facing speakers. It's perfect. So
Are you talking about like movies or just like YouTube videos?
Just catching up on my YouTube subscriptions.
Interesting.
It's ideal. So I use it like every day. And I have the iPad Mini coming in, so I'm considering switching
with Retina, of course.
7-inch, the Retina display one, to like either that or the new Nexus 7. But I really like the big display and the front-facing speakers, and I'm really excited for the next Nexus 10 to also have that.
Are we sure that's happening? You're hoping, you're assuming.
I'm hoping it does.
Fingers
if
crossed.
It's made by Asus, I don't know. Like the whole front-facing speaker thing might disappear because of that. I don't know about
I hope they keep it too. I mean, the first thing I did when I had the Nexus 10 from Samsung last year was I watched Dark Knight Rises, and I was like, this is like the greatest tablet experience ever because you got the sound coming right at you. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's a sweet tablet. So I'm really excited for a new Nexus 10 tablet. Although I do not use tablets as much as I used to. I thought they were perfect for gaming, but that was until I got the Nvidia Shield, and I was like, okay, I'm never going to game on a tablet ever again.
Yeah.
What's the point? So, and what? Oh, you got a Shield over there?
Yeah, it's right in the corner. You can't.
Oh,
Really
I can see it. I was going to ask you if you had one just a second ago because I was thinking of it, and I was like, if you don't have one, you just gotta let me know, man.
I miss the Shield. That thing's awesome.
It is pretty awesome, but for $300, it's sort of it's.
Well, have you experimented with the gamepad mode where you can like map the controls now? Because that was post when I had it.
Right.
How's that?
It's pretty great. It works exactly how they expect.
So now I think with that, I think it's actually a worthwhile purchase for Android gaming.
Right.
And even ignoring the fact that it can stream from your PC, having the ability to do the control mapping now, because there was games that I wanted to play on it that I couldn't because they didn't natively support it, and then it was like, oh, I can't do anything, so never mind.
Yeah, it definitely sucked. Now you can play pretty much any game and it works great. I mean, the actual interface for the button mapper.
Yeah.
Totally works fine.
So
you played with it, yeah?
What?
The mapper.
Yeah, I did. I remember.
Sorry, I was talking though.
No, yeah, I play like a couple games on it. Like I played Riptide a lot, and then I played like a couple other games that are like just to try out the game.
Dead Trigger 2? Have you been playing Dead Trigger 2?
No, I'm not a FPS person. I can't play first-person shooters on like anything. I have a PS4 and I don't have any first-person shooters on it. Like I suck at them. I don't know. But I play mostly sports games and racing games, so that's what I've been using.
FIFA? You got some FIFA on that bad boy?
I have FIFA on the PS4. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mostly played Riptide for like a long time, and I got unnecessarily good at Riptide GP2.
I am so terrible at that game. So
because you can play online with like friends and in Google Play, so I was like playing in multiplayer mode against some other people, and then you can play online against like random people, and I was just kicking ass. It was great. That's
not really fair though. You know, like you got a ringer with Shield against some guy who's using a touchscreen 4-inch display, probably running gingerbread.
But you can tell when you get an opponent that also has a Shield.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I have yet to kind of go online and try that out. If they did like a 1v1 type deal on Dead Trigger 2, I'd probably be the best player in the world. I play that game like no other. So, either way. But I want to get back to Nexus 10 tablets real quick. I'm glad we're talking about Shield because I love that thing. But either way, Dave, Nexus 10, you already tweeted out that you're automatically going to buy one no matter who makes it, no matter what, you're buying it. So, but why? What's up?
I gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
And I want to be on the latest hardware in all the form factors of the Nexus line, just so that I have that as a base, to, check things on. But I won't use it besides that. So it's really just because they're so cheap. Typically, it's impulse buys. It's not like it's a $700 tablet.
No, that's true. I mean, it's still expensive. It's around like going to be $500+. I mean,
it's not.
Yeah,
the Nexus 10 wasn't that much before.
Yes, it was.
$499.
Yeah, and then it's even more. It was like, come on, dude. And then it was even more for the 32 gig. I got it right here.
Nah.
It was still on sale on my Google Play. Oh, it's gone now, of course.
Is it?
Everyone was saying it's gone from Google Play. I was able to add that thing to the cart last night still. It just won't disappear from me.
It might be regional. Didn't they for a while do like regional shopping blocks?
Mine's out of inventory for the 16 gig and still in stock for $500, leaving in 1 to 2 days for the 32 gig.
See what I'm saying, Dave? $500, man. It's crazy. It's not bad though. It's better than an iPad Air. But I mean, you don't have an ecosystem that's rated 1,000 out of 10, on the Android devices.
Yeah, I paid $446 for the Nexus 10.
Not bad.
16 gig, yeah.
Yeah, I don't need the extra space on it. Well,
I'm hoping.
I mean, I really wanted to use the Nexus 10 when I got it. I went and bought a 6-axis controller so that I could, hook up to that, and I was going to do a lot of gaming. I thought it would be great. I took it with me on a trip, and I ended up using my 7 more. So, for me, the 7 is the tablet that I use as a go-to.
It's definitely
for similar reasons as Marcus. I do web browsing. It's my Netflix controller when I'm using the Chromecast, and I do a lot of Reddit browsing on there, and that's all I really need a tablet for, which is why I think the 10 is just too much, because I like to be able to hold it in one hand. Mm-hmm. In the 10 you can't really do that, so I like to sit there and it's kind of like a book. I got the cover, flip it over.
Right. As for what? Oh, sorry, Marcus, go ahead.
I was gonna say the Air made me realize that like the Nexus 10, I also have the flip cover on it, so it's like it's kind of unwieldy with one hand. So, yeah.
Do you?
Oh, sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
You go ahead, because I was gonna ask him why he likes the Air, but he can talk about that after.
Okay, I was going to get to the Air because I was gonna get to Ron because I know he's got something to say. As for what maker we're hoping for, are we hoping Samsung, Asus, LG? Do we even care really? If you had to choose one to make the next Nexus 10, who are you hoping for the most? And that is even if like there's not a Nexus 8 device coming, which the V510 from LG that went through Bluetooth, et cetera, there could be, and we've seen 2 different Google code names, so there could be a 10 and an 8. So, any ideas to what you'd want to see?
I mean, the Nexus 10 is good quality. So, I mean, if Samsung is the manufacturer of it again, I wouldn't complain. But then again, the new Nexus 7, this year's model, is also very nice. So, you know.
Does the 2014 Note 10.1 have front-facing speakers?
No.
Okay, so this is the only tablet with front-facing speakers, the Nexus 10.
Yes. No. Well, the new Tegra Note has front-facing speakers.
Okay.
But that's a 7-inch, $200 tablet. That's not.
Yeah.
And I think the last 10 Note had front-facing too as well.
I think it did around the same.
No. That was the That was like the Galaxy Note 10.1. So
right,
yeah,
the original.
But the 2014 edition does not.
Okay.
I got one sitting right there, and I don't turn that thing on.
Why would you go backwards like that? Why would you go from having front-facing speakers to not?
That's my issue. If the new Nexus 10 doesn't have front-facing speakers, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I do want the newest hardware, and I do want KitKat on a 10-inch display, but if it doesn't have front-facing speakers, I'm going to have a hard time adjusting, and it's going to be really annoying. And I might as well use any other tablet then if I'm not going to have front-facing speakers.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Does the Nexus 10, is your Nexus 10 running KitKat yet?
No, I'm still waiting. I hit that refresh button at least 20 times today.
You don't want to sideload it? We posted up the OTA, right?
Not really.
Why not?
I'm happy that I haven't had to root my Nexus 10 yet. And
You don't need to.
Oh, you don't have to root to sideload.
Are you unlocked?
I don't think I'm even unlocked. I don't think I unlocked it.
Does that matter for the side load? I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think so.
No, you just go ahead, ADB, and if you're running a Hackintosh, right, it should be the easiest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
SDK, putting in the bootloader, the stock bootloader.
All right, I'm putting this in my pocket then.
It should take you 5 minutes as long as you can get the directory to the file, to the actual Android program file in terminal. It's like the quickest thing you've ever done.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he has it in his path, so he can just type in ADB anywhere.
Exactly. Well, that was my issue. It took me like 20 minutes to set that up. But either way,
we've mentioned terminal. We're going down a bad road.
This is what I don't want the show to become. Is anything that has to do with.
Let's talk about the iPad Air. I want to know why. I want to know why Marcus prefers it.
Oh, okay. All right, Marcus, you tell us why you prefer the iPad Air, but then I'd love to hear what Ron thinks about the iPad Air.
Aside from the lack of any sort of useful speaker, I love the weight and the way it feels in the hand. So it's way lighter than the Nexus 10, and you notice it when you go back from the Air to the Nexus 10 that, wow, the Air is really light, and like it's one-handed, like just carrying it from room to room, like holding it, you'd be comfortable on watching a movie on a plane, so your wrists wouldn't get tired, that kind of thing. It's way easier.
What's the screen size on that?
9.7. 8 point?
Oh, 9.7, and the mini is 7.9. So.
And do you have a Nexus 7?
Yes.
In your possession?
Mm-hmm.
Which is it lighter than the Nexus 7? Comparable? Heavier?
I think it's still heavier than the Nexus 7, but way lighter than the
much.
It's 1 pound flat. So I think the Nexus 7, I'm gonna check right now.
1.3.
Is it really more? 0.64 pounds.
0.64.
So it's a little bit heavier than the Nexus 7, but I think the Nexus 10 is like 1.3 pounds. So it's a nice. It's the lightest 10-inch tablet, and that's why I like it. Basically, it's really easy to hold, and it's built well.
I hate to say it, but it's a gorgeous device. I mean, and I held one in the Apple Store. I went in there just to check it out.
You didn't buy it after touching it?
I was like, man, this is actually kind of sweet.
I'm surprised they let you in at all.
Oh, dude, they love me there.
Mm.
Come on now. You know my past, right? I love Apple. What the hell? I got an Apple beanie around here somewhere. I wear it all day.
I don't even think they would ban someone who's stolen from their stores if it meant that would be one more person to buy a product. I think they probably still let them back in.
I guarantee, I personally know that they do not let people in who've stolen from them. So They take it
personally,
very
no.
From experience.
Is there a certain store you're not allowed in? Is that what you're telling
No,
us?
I thought I dated an Apple employee, and so they always had that stuff happen all the time. People would just run in, jank an iPhone off of the table, and just book it. And they're very good about getting the cameras out and seeing who that was.
That's like the worst one to grab. Like that's the one they definitely have all the information for.
Yeah, well, those are the ones that sell really well on the streets. So
You gotta run all the way to the back counter, around the back.
There you go.
Oh, you gotta, yeah. Don't go by the geniuses. They don't care. They'll knock you out. So don't go by the genius bar.
You could theoretically grab a Mac Pro now when the new ones come out because they're just like
Yeah.
A little trash can.
Yeah.
Oh,
You couldn't steal the old Mac Pro. It was way
No, not unless you're really, really excited to be carrying that thing home.
Yeah.
Ron, iPad
Yes.
Air, are you getting one? I know you probably have one on your Christmas wish list, right?
No.
What?
It's called being poor. No,
It's called a wish list, Ron.
Right, yeah.
That's what they're for.
No, I'm happy with I've got my third gen iPad sitting right here.
Third gen.
Yeah, because you can't call it the iPad 3 because people get upset.
Of course.
Not anybody that I know in particular that calls me out on
Right.
Twitter for ever saying that. Yeah. So yeah, it's got a Retina display. The battery life took a little bit of a dive with iOS 7, but it still lasts several days for me. So it's not as light as I would like it to be. But the Air, I did a good play with it. I had a client that wanted to get his all set up for him or whatever. So I spent actually quite a bit of time with it, and yeah, it's super light, really, really well built. I think I get tired of holding it in one hand after some time, just because it's a pound. So it's not a book or anything else like that. But it would be easier to hold for extended periods. So the big things I use mine for, like I read comics on Comixology and that kind of thing. So I'll normally just have it laying in front of me. But
Did you just say that 1 pound is still too heavy? Your hands would still get tired?
over time, I mean, it's kind of like holding a textbook is basically what it's like, and like you can do it for some time, but eventually it falls on your face and you feel bad.
The problem is it's top heavy, so if you hold it like by the corner, it'll weigh on you after a while.
Yeah.
So
it's still insanely light, especially considering its size. But just it's like holding a paperback textbook.
It's a nice looking device. I've always liked Apple's hardware, which is unfortunate because I have to, my mortal enemies. Just kidding. I don't really care about that stuff. But I want an iPhone 5S. Like I really want one. I keep telling my boss to let me buy one.
They're so ugly. Why do you want a 5S?
Because I want that rose gold, man. Like I just want to try it out. I keep telling myself I should just try it out just to see how it is. But then I'm reminded that it's like I'm already invested in Android so much, like the ecosystem apps and all that. So there's no reason for me to have one. But I just want to try it out. Plus their cameras, are a lot better.
Way better.
I would contemplate an iPhone if they were a little bigger screen.
Yeah, like give me a 4.5 at least. I can't do a flat 4. That's just way too tiny. What?
Oh, there we go.
What do you got? You need to say something while you're holding it.
Sorry, I'm probably not highlighted, but this is the Oppo
No, you
N1, and there's the iPhone 5S, the flagship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the 5S? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Wow,
it's
that's a big
completely in the
difference.
screen with plenty of room on all 4 sides.
And the Oppo N1 has 5.9 inch display.
Yeah.
That thing is massive, just like the One Max. I mean, the One Max even puts the Note 3 even down, which is sad. I mean, the Note 3 is.
I just don't get the appeal of having that huge of a phone.
The Note 3 actually is like a great size phone for my hand. For me,
It's
I
good,
love
but I enjoy the Note 2 more just because of that curved sides. It kind of fits in your hand a bit better. I feel like this
I think you'd
flat
want that
design-
standard. Yeah, you want to have something that's easier to instead
Yeah.
of being straight flat.
As much as I like the curve of the Moto X and like the way it feels in the hand, which is great, I still like the look, the visual aesthetic of a more angular device, which is why I like the look of the Nexus. I like the look of the iPad Air. I like the look of certain angular phones like that.
I
So I
agree.
like the look of the Note 3 more than I like the look of the Note 2, even though it probably doesn't fit in the hand as well because of this.
Exactly. No, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's just the way it looks to the way it feels doesn't necessarily translate the way you'd want it to, but.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that you can make up for that. I think you're right. Like having the super angular stuff makes it stand out. If you look at some of Motorola's older stuff, it's very, very angular, and also very industrial because apparently they can't hide screws. But you know, it does make a device stand out. But I think depending on how you design it, like one of the things that's one of the reasons why I really, really like the X is just doing the different colors and things like that, and especially when they do the wood panel and things like that. Like, I think that's going to make it stand out in a way that other phones won't. So,
yeah,
makes sense to me. There's a lot of sexy phones out there. Well, so we started talking about the Nexus 10. Let's talk about CyanogenMod real quick. The Oppo N1 that you're running right now, Marcus, that's not, I'm guessing, the CyanogenMod version.
No, that's coming, I guess, later this...
December.
Yeah, later this
I just figured maybe you were special and got the hookup, being a YouTuber extraordinary.
Not quite. But Oppo's going to offer, like, CyanogenMod for, like, every N1, so you'll be able to get it, like...
Oh, that's cool.
So that's neat.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So today they took to their official Google Plus account page and said that they have a new hardware partner. And so everyone's just flying in, oh, it's got to be Apple, it's got to be Samsung. No, they weren't saying that. But it's got to be ZTE, Huawei, BlackBerry, HTC, Xiaomi. I mean, there was like just a lot of Asian manufacturers, essentially. And
what are the odds of it being one of like the top?
The odds of it being Samsung, Motorola,
HTC. Well, I mean, HTC might throw a bone out there to try to get some.
Throw a bone? That is like their last bone.
Yeah, HTC's going down. I wouldn't call HTC top anymore.
Do they have any bones to throw?
Exactly. They have their last bone. That's essentially it. And they really need to put all the money they can into their next flagship. The 2014 flagship either saves them or destroys them. I'm pretty certain on that.
We've been saying that for the last 2 years.
The One Max, Ron. The One Max. Like, this is the saving grace right here.
I know, but that's the thing is they keep doing this BS of, yeah, we're going to do one phone, and they keep doing 3 phones every single time. It's like,
well, we're going to do the phone 1. And
right. Yeah, it's just a translation issue.
Yeah, well, I think it's crappy because everyone gives Samsung such a bad rep on copying Apple, but it's actually HTC that should really be slapped on the wrist for it because they see Samsung throw out an S4 Mini and they got the Note 3 that's super popular. These phones actually sell. I don't know so much about the S4 Mini, but
I think S4 Mini sells pretty well in emerging.
That. Sorry?
I said I think I would bet the Mini sells pretty well in emerging markets.
Yeah, definitely, because it's probably free on contract. Yada yada. But either way, so HTC, I don't know if CyanogenMod's going to be teaming up with them.
But you think HTC should get more crap for
copying? Yes, for just copying another Android OEM, basically. In my opinion, I think HTC.
What?
Yeah, dude.
It's more obvious.
Yeah, it doesn't even have a stylus. This phone is a fail, and sure it has
in terms of the Max, sure, but I don't know.
Well, no, I'm not saying that Samsung doesn't deserve crap, and they definitely deserve a slap on the wrist too. But at the same time,
they're basically ruining Android.
How dare you? First of all, I got like 20 Samsung phones on my desk right now, and like so I can't talk.
And they're ruining Android. It's fine.
I think they make actually decent hardware. Their software definitely needs to go. But either way, I'm trying to talk about CyanogenMod and their new hardware partner.
And how they're probably not going to last either? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, oh, you mean that partner or CyanogenMod?
CyanogenMod.
When was the last time you flashed a CyanogenMod?
I'm running it right now on my purple Nexus, the famous purple Nexus, or not Nexus.
Purple Razor?
Razor, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
Interesting. Well, Marcus, have you had a chance to play with Cyan? I mean, you said you have not unlocked your bootloader on your Nexus device. I'm curious, do you play with custom ROMs at all?
I had it on my Galaxy S4, which is the last one I put CyanogenMod on. So it was still on Android 4.3. So obviously no one has a stable 4.4 with CyanogenMod yet. But I like it a lot on phones like the Galaxy S4 where I just can't stand the skin and I just need to have something a little more polished, a little more aesthetically pleasing. And so I put CyanogenMod on phones like the Galaxy S4 and the LG G2 and phones that have skins that I hate.
I just love that that's universal. I've never met anybody that likes Samsung skin, ever.
Well, who would? I mean, it takes away, I think, a lot from the actual look of the device. You know, I mean,
That's the only reason that I don't. It's the only reason I don't use the Note 3. I'd be fine if it was running Android 4.3 stock Android.
How can people be okay with Sense though? I mean, Sense is even worse. Like,
I found that when I was comparing Sense on
this whole thing, this is disgusting.
That's way better than Samsung's though. Come on.
Okay, color-wise, yes, but in actual functionality,
why is that in air quotes?
It has little settings buttons for each one. Why can't I just press it or long press? Instead, they put a little settings 3 button, 3 dots. That's ridiculous.
That's worse than the barrage of 80 options you have in TouchWiz.
Dude, I talk plenty of crap about TouchWiz, and everyone knows I hate that thing. But I'm just saying, so far, I'm hating the One Max. But
I mean, in terms of aesthetics of the design, you actually think that TouchWiz is better than Sense?
Yes, I think it's more functional.
Whoa. Okay, so here's.
Okay. Are we talking pure aesthetics, like the look?
Yeah, pure aesthetics. Because what is his name? Philip Byrne, is that right?
Philip Byrne, he works for Samsung.
Yeah. He'll constantly get back at people, because they'll say, TouchWiz can do this and this and this that stock Android can't do. So I don't think anybody can deny functionality, although oftentimes it's buried behind insane UI. So I don't think that's an issue. I think the issue is aesthetics. So in terms of strictly aesthetics, the way that it looks, not necessarily the way that it works. We can all have quibbles about that, but in terms of looks.
In terms of look,
neon green or blue, what are you picking?
I would take Sense over TouchWiz just in terms of look. But when it comes down to actually navigating the system, it's all about TouchWiz.
The last phone that the last time I had both a Sense phone and a TouchWiz phone was when I had the Galaxy S4 and the HTC One, and the one had way less hiccups and stutters and jank.
Of course.
Than the S4 with TouchWiz, and that's another reason why I preferred the one. It was snappier, it felt sharper and more responsive, even if it was a little wonky in the way it performed.
And doesn't it? One thing I hate, maybe it's just me, but I feel like Sense, when you're looking at a Sense phone, even things like the One, it feels like there's a slight filter over the screen. Do you guys get that feeling when you're looking at a phone with Sense?
They also all have IPS displays, and all the Samsung TouchWiz phones have OLED displays.
Right.
So it looks even weirder, punchier colors.
I dig the Samsung displays a bit more than these LCD ones.
Really? The colors are really blown out of proportion on Samsung. I mean, you can.
Yeah, I kind of love the oversaturation of it at times. I mean, it just depends.
Well, based on your Snapseed pictures, that's probably true.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Wow.
Man, that's gotta look really bad on your Note 3, man. That's gotta be really blown out.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Thanks, John. I just wanted to say, navigating the actual app drawer on this device is just a total cluster F. Just because, I mean, you got random folders. Oh, by the way, this thing comes with 100 bloatware applications, and it's just god awful. On Sprint too. So I should throw this out the window.
I realize that a whole bunch of American phones and their carriers have hilarious amounts of bloatware. But recently, when I played with the Galaxy Round and now the G Flex, the amount of bloatware on those Korean phones is amazing.
How many gigs are we talking?
Real. I haven't exactly counted the storage based on that.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, at least they're all square. That's not bad.
There's standards in Korea, all right?
This is
not this crazy Wild West.
A whole page of bloatware. I love the white balance right now, but yeah, this is fun.
Oh my goodness.
That's
the white balance is all wiped out.
I'm gonna check how much storage it takes.
That was the G Flex, right?
Yeah, G Flex. And
how are you liking the Galaxy Round compared to the G Flex?
I actually like the Round a lot.
So you kind of holding the Taco phone up to your ear?
I haven't even made a call on it yet, so I guess I can't be the judge of that.
That was the first thing you wanted to do?
In the pocket, it's nicer because it's basically a curved Note 3. It's the same screen size and everything. But I actually like the differences between the Round and Note 3. I prefer the Round. So that's
interesting. So I feel like just from looking at the two in pictures, I'd go G Flex all day, every day. But
yeah, the problem is it's a 720p display and it's a plastic OLED display, and I'm a pixel fanatic, so I'm just not digging the display right now.
Speaking of
definitely, it's contrasting.
Alright, you just bought a 4K. Was that just a monitor or a TV?
It's technically a TV. Yeah.
And Have you hooked it up?
I have. It's sitting right here, not plugged in. It's plugged into the wall, but not plugged into any. Here, it's not plugged into anything.
Is it
It's right here.
legit? Is it totally great?
I have yet to turn it on, but as soon as I do, I will know. From what I've read, it's well, it was $500, by the way. So it's a $500 4K TV.
So it's going to be top of the
line. That's pretty cheap.
It's like $500 cheaper than the next cheapest 4K TV, and then it blows up from there. But like the panel itself is like it's sharp as you would expect. It's really, really detailed. The colors aren't all that accurate. It's not necessarily the most. It's not the best professional display to use, even though it's got tons of resolution. But if you want to like play 4K games when the PS4 supports 4K with its firmware update, whenever that happens, if you want to watch 4K content, if you happen to have a lot of that, if you want to edit 4K video, maybe the colors won't be great. But I'm looking forward to trying it out. It seems like a good entry point into 4K.
Yeah, you're going to have to let me know because I have yet to even think about investing in 4K technology. Even though, I mean, I got Shield that can hook up, output 4K and all that stuff. And I'm excited to try it out, but have yet to do so. And it's only $500. I mean...
Yeah, shipped.
Is that with Prime? Or like something?
I had Prime. I think it was less than $530 at my door in 2 days.
Dang. All right, I'll talk to Kellen. See what we can do.
Maybe I need one of those for the bedroom. I should probably.
Well, it's a 39-inch, so it's not
pretty big.
huge, but they also have a 50-inch version for I think $1,000, and it's 4K.
50-inch?
50-inch 4K TV for $1,000.
I should have waited to buy a TV. I just bought a regular 1080p like 2 months ago for
Black Friday might reveal some other awesome pricing. Who knows? But
all the ads are already out. I haven't seen anything for 4K TV deals. But there's still time. Maybe Cyber Monday will be it.
That's my day.
Cyber Monday?
Yeah, that's where it's at.
We shall see. So while we were talking about custom ROMs, oh yeah. So the need for CyanogenMod to have a new hardware partner. I mean, I don't really even see the need, for Android. I mean, okay, I get that custom ROMs need to be here. I appreciate the developers who put in all this hard work. But I stopped flashing ROMs. I could really care less anymore just because I think Android is finally reached a fantastic level to where I don't need to tweak the theme or performance with the custom kernel or anything like that. So I'm just saying, is the whole CyanogenMod as a business thing really necessary? And so that's the question I was really going to go for all three of you. So Dave, start it off.
Well, I mean, I'm in the same camp as you. I don't actually flash ROMs anymore, unless I have to check something out on like a Trebuchet. The launcher on Cyanogen has icon pack, so I had to flash it so I could make sure stuff worked with that. But other than that, that's actually not true. I'm a liar. On phones, like Marcus, when they have a skin I don't like, I will flash a ROM, but that's purely to get to where, ASOP Android is. Otherwise, I don't see. It used to be that the ROMs added a lot of stuff that Android didn't have, but now we have a lot of that stuff built in. Now there are a few nuances and stuff that I would like to see, but things like what's that framework?
Google Play.
No, the one that Icon Themer goes off of, Exposed Framework. So something like that, I think, is a better option because you can keep a stock ROM as long as you can get root on it, and then make a couple tweaks. Like, I'm a big fan. I know you can do them in the quick setting, but I really like the one-finger swipe down and have like 4 quick toggles in the top of my notification bar for things that I toggle off and on really quick. So that's something where I would like to see added in, but I don't know if I'd necessarily do a custom ROM for it. So to answer your question, no, I don't flash custom ROMs unless the phone requires it.
Right. I think my question was about CyanogenMod and if it's necessary.
So I answered it by saying it's not necessary because I don't flash them.
No, yeah, absolutely. I was just trying to rework it and to make sure. Ron, custom ROMs. I know you're running one, but do you think CyanogenMod needs to be a business that has hardware partners?
You didn't ask me that question. You asked me a different question.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Do you want to answer that question real quick?
No, go ahead, Ron. You can answer it.
Okay.
This is all off the cuff, man.
Yeah. Just hang loose. No, I don't think it's. I certainly don't think it's necessary, and while I don't want to like wish ill on a company, I don't think they'll be successful. I don't see.
How do they make money? Like, how are they going to make money?
By having manufacturers pay to have it on their device.
Yeah,
right.
But how can you license out a ROM built off of an open source project though? Like.
Well, that's the thing, is their issue is going to be if they want to get mainstream support, they're going to have Play support. And so then it's going to be difficult for them to say, hey, you should buy our software. I mean, they can if it's based on AOSP and then they add Play on top of that after. They can sell that, but I don't know that that's a value add for any company that's trying to,
make money.
Get what? Like, well, not even like make money. Like
profitable.
Yeah, like what are you fighting for? Like you're fighting for maybe 1% of market share. Even as smartphone usage continues to grow, we're just over 50% now in terms of like how many people in general that have cell phones are using smartphones. Like even as that continues to grow, I don't think there's space for somebody to come in and really swoop in unless like Samsung like dies suddenly. Like between Samsung and Apple, like there's not space for somebody to come in. We've seen Microsoft do, in my opinion, great advertising, come out with decent devices, even though Instagram has some issues now on Windows Phone. But we've seen them do decent things, and especially for people that are anti-Apple, anti-Google, whatever. Like here's your alternative, and they're still failing in the market for all intents and purposes. Like I don't think CyanogenMod adds a lot of value compared to what anybody that's going to be really interested in buying it or licensing it or whatever that is. Like I don't think there's any space for that.
Wow.
And most manufacturers already have their own software shop in-house that's designing their own skins and everything else like that. And the big question is, why would you pay for CyanogenMod if you can get Google's version for free? That's the issue.
Did you buy a Screw Gold shirt today, Ron?
I didn't.
Okay.
So what we don't know is what length CyanogenMod is going to go to work with a hardware partner. So what if they agree to do a certain amount of skinning? So let's say HTC. All right, they have Sense right now. What if they were to drop Sense as their platform and pick up CyanogenMod as their skin per se, and just have them say, hey, here's a couple features we want added into it. CyanogenMod adds that in, and instead of they can get rid of all of their internal people now and just pay a licensing fee and not have to pay the salaries and all the R&D for the software and everything because they're using CyanogenMod.
The question is, what value does that add, and does that save a company like HTC or give them any kind of reasonable market share? I think the answer is no.
God, no.
Right. Yeah. So I get that they want to do this, and I do think it's a neat idea. I think it would have been an even more important and potentially viable idea in the market in 2009. In 2013, going into 2014, I don't think there's any shot of success. And like I said, it's not wishing ill on CyanogenMod. I think they do great work. They always have.
Right.
Especially in terms of like giving you lots of customization options and getting you as close as you can to stock while running really well. They do great work. But I don't know how you monetize that out, and that's ignoring all the other internal issues that they've been having crop up from where we had the whole camera app get basically pulled out of there. How do you deal with this issue of, hey, we've had people working for free most of the time, maybe with a device, some people paying for devices and that kind of thing, but basically working for free to develop this ROM, and now we're going to try and monetize that. There's those issues, much less, hey, we're going to try and make this viable in the market and make it a name that people care about and want to pay for. I don't think it adds any value. The alternative that you have is seeing Amazon trying to enter the market, right? And there's no way they're doing that with Google Play unless they work out some sort of a crazy deal, which would be bonkers, and I think they should do that, but who knows? But that would be the alternative, is saying, hey, we're gonna use CyanogenMod as our skin. We're gonna use that instead on phones, and you can get all of Amazon services. You get the Amazon App Store, which they can now use that name App Store after the lawsuit finally finished, and you'll get all our services with what is that called, Prime. That's maybe an option, but again, who's looking to buy a phone from Amazon? Nobody. It's, I don't think there's space in the market for that, so I don't see why it makes any sense for any manufacturer to say, yeah, we're going to go with CyanogenMod, we're going to pay them money. All these companies already have in-house software, we're going to pay them money to use their software instead.
Damn, Ron.
Yeah.
And that's the article that I haven't written yet, but there you go.
I totally agree. When I see like this whole CyanogenMod as a business thing, my number one question is like, what is their goal, their number one goal as a company, and how are they planning on doing it and making any money in the process? And both of those questions to me are unanswered. Therefore, I have no idea what to expect. Totally open door. I don't know.
Especially when they start talking about it as, hey, at least initially, and they've seen it backed off from this a little bit, but when on the outset they were saying, hey, we're going to market this as a separate operating system.
They did say that.
Which seems to indicate, hey, we're not going to go through Play, which they see, like I said, they seem to have backed off from that. But that seemed to be their original goal. Like, I want to see competition. I absolutely want to see competition. I want to see these things getting better. But how the hell do you go up against Samsung and Apple? Like, I'm not saying it's impossible, and like we see those people would have said the same thing about Microsoft and BlackBerry back in 2006 when Apple unveiled the iPhone. But this market is really, really entrenched, and the way to do that, which we saw Apple do, and eventually we saw Google do with Android, was come out with a product that's remarkably different, that changes the game completely. And CyanogenMod doesn't do that. CyanogenMod slightly augments what is the current standard. So, and that's why I think we're seeing Google do all sorts of things with glass and things like that. Where, hey, what's going to be after smartphones when we stop carrying these devices around everywhere? What's the next step? And that's there's plenty of space in the next 10 years. But until then, CyanogenMod just doesn't do that.
Spot on, dude.
Need a value add.
Take the words right out of my mouth, why don't you? Well, I want to get to one more question that we were being asked before we kind of wrap this up. It's already getting late. I'm sorry. Who will produce the next Nexus smartphone? We were asked this last week's Q&A session, but Marcus, since you're here, I definitely want to get your take on this, and Dave, of course, you as well. So, real quick.
What about Ron?
Nope.
Well, he technically answered that in the Q&A, but I'm going to ask him too, don't worry. And myself, I will also answer.
I don't want you to leave him out.
We will start with Mr. MKBHD. Please feel free to let us know which OEM you think will create the next Nexus smartphone.
I think I would want to, because those are different questions.
No. Yeah.
No, not about one. It's not about one.
If I was betting on, like, okay. My bet would be Motorola.
Oh my god, okay.
I think that would also be my hope, though. I think that would also be my hope. Like, I'd hope by then they would figure out a way to do that. But, like, it makes sense to have a year. The thing, like, so looking at Motorola and Google right now, it seems like, well, clearly Motorola is continuing to make their own Motorola phones as part of Google now. But I would still like to see, and I would expect to see a Nexus come out of that collaboration. Second choice, if I was putting like chips down, I would probably say Samsung.
Okay, so Samsung, back to the Moto.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so I had the same exact thoughts towards Moto. I'll get to mine. Dave, OEM, Nexus, 2014.
I think it's going to be LG again.
They already did the Nexus 4. They just released Nexus 5. You think they're going to be going Nexus 5, 2, or 6, or whatever?
Yeah, I think they'll be tapped to do it again.
Okay.
Now, is that who I want to see do it? No. Again, I'm in the Moto camp. I would like to see Moto produce it, but
I think we're all feeling Moto except for Ron. Ron's like, it's not going to happen. Ron actually thinks that there is a firewall. You know, this is all just smoke and mirrors, right? There is no firewall, Ron. Like. Yeah,
I tweeted that earlier today. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't stalk your Twitter as much as I should.
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely stalk yours. You're my own list. That's actually my timeline. Just what did Tim tweet today?
Not much. Weird? You must be pretty bored because I don't tweet very often.
It's pretty rough going. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Moto. All right. So you're thinking Moto, or you're hoping Moto. But you think LG is going to do it, Dave?
That's what I'm thinking, yes.
Okay. So another LG Nexus. Ron, thoughts on a new Nexus smartphone? I already know. So you answered this question in the Q&A last Friday.
Yeah.
You weren't feeling Moto.
No.
Now that you've heard that all three of us are feeling Moto.
Yeah. Well, actually, before anybody said anything, I was actually kind of thinking Moto, and the reason being, if they pick Samsung, it's like, what's the point, right? Like, they're winning. Like, who cares? Like, that's boring. If they pick LG, if anything, politically, not in terms of aesthetics or anything else like that. Obviously, they can change whatever they want, and over time, we've seen them change more and more. Actually, with each successive Nexus device. Is that right? But I think we're starting to see Google really. We've seen like the marketing budget and things like that, where Google's really trying to push Motorola and things like that. And I honestly think, like, the Moto X is Google's Nexus in a lot of ways, right? Like, we're seeing it get, it's on every single carrier on like the actual Nexus 5. It's getting updates on Verizon, unlike the actual Galaxy Nexus on Verizon. It's got a marketing budget that's a lot bigger than probably what Google's pushing behind the Nexus 5. It's got software enhancements that almost everybody agrees should be on the Nexus but aren't. It's so in a lot of ways, I think Google's kind of putting their chips behind Motorola. So if they don't do a Motorola Nexus, which they wouldn't do for political reasons, saying, hey, they're separate and we're going to continue to maintain that belief that they're separate even though they're clearly not. So they could. I wouldn't be. I don't know who they would pick after this. Why pick HTC if they may not even exist at that point? So it's probably going to be Samsung or LG. LG's kind of hanging on there a little bit. But that's it's a different issue. But I think a lot of ways Motorola is kind of becoming the Nexus program for like we're seeing them push Android in a way, and they're not selling units so far from what we've seen, right? Only 500,000 so far.
Apparently.
And who knows? And maybe that'll change around holidays. Maybe that changes with Moto Maker being accessible to everybody.
Exactly. It was only available on one carrier for a while.
Right. So maybe that'll change the game. But,
and Moto X is only available stateside, correct?
In Canada. I think you can.
I think it recently launched in like India and one other market.
Right.
Last week.
Okay, so the numbers at this point just represent American
AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
Just AT&T.
Probably just and
a couple. I know there are Verizon units out there because I had one. So.
Verizon and Sprint. I mean, it's all over. So I mean, it's available anyway.
But now with Moto Maker, I think that changes the game.
With Moto Maker, I hope it changes. I mean, that's the phone. Obviously I have an iPhone, and I have specific reasons why I use an iPhone. But if I was going to pick an Android phone, it's the Moto X. And and the thing about it is we've continually seen across the board, across every single, at least that I read, every single website and blog, journalistic, whatever you want to call it, like everybody continues to point to the Moto X and say, hey, that's the Android phone to get. It's not the Nexus 5, it's not the S4, it's not the One in any of its variants, it's the Moto X. I think that's Google's phone. I think that's clear. So I don't know that, not to say that Nexus doesn't matter again, but it doesn't. Like, look, get the Moto X.
I absolutely agree. I said it right in the Q&A post. I was like, if the 2014 Moto X is totally kick-ass, it could feature maybe just a tiny bit bigger of a display. No big deal. 1080p display possibly, and then that phone will be the Nexus whatever.
And get a better camera and better camera software.
Of course.
No, it's a Nexus
Pro.
Right, it has to be eternally cursed.
Of course.
Had to crank it down for the Nexus.
Yeah.
They could re-release the Moto X and not change a single thing except for the camera by making it better, and I would buy it again.
I'd buy it again.
I think a lot of people would.
And put a wood back on it.
Yeah, but guys, then that'd be 2-year-old specs, and specs matter, guys.
But I've said it a few times. Moto X proved that the spec wars are over.
Okay, what about a Moto X?
I got so much crap for saying that. No.
Moto X
Snapdragon
Max.
S4 Pro, man.
A Moto X Max? Did you
Moto
just
X
say that?
Max with
Moto X
a
Max.
larger display, larger battery, better camera, flagship specs, 2 gigs of RAM, 1080p.
Well, it's got a
3X
4.7. Why
Max.
don't we just push the screen to 5 and leave it there? That's a good middle ground for...
The middle ground keeps moving, though.
It does. It used to be that a Nexus was 3.7 inches. I don't know if it.
Yeah, but we also had huge bezels around the edge. So
Yeah, Ron.
now that those have been
Just
eliminated,
giant
you
bezels.
can do a smaller, silhouette with a larger screen.
Maybe they should tap Dell to be the manufacturer. We can have like a Streak 2 as the new Nexus.
Moto X and these guys. I was gonna say the Moto X and the iPhone are like in the same footprint.
Yeah, look at that.
Slightly extra on the Moto X, but for that you get almost an extra inch on the display.
Yeah, but look at the displays though. The display on the iPhone is so much smaller.
Yeah,
it's too small. I think once Apple opens up and starts making a larger display on the iPhone, people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, what have we been missing this entire time?"
iPhone Max.
Yeah, iPhone Max, 6 X's. So yeah, because it's 6 inches of pure awesomeness. So, I think it's confirmed. I think we can safe to say that. Real quick, we're gonna wrap it up. Real quickly, apps and games. Dave, do you have any new apps or games you want to talk about?
I would like to talk about Camera Awesome, which I just downloaded. I haven't used it yet, but I heard it's awesome.
Okay.
So
Camera Awesome, how much is it?
That was like $2.99, I think.
$2.99 on Google Play.
Whoa,
Yeah, I have it
Android
downloaded.
money.
It is a lot. It's like $3,000.
Yeah. I mean, that's like 99 cents on iOS, but
So
that's a lot.
I've got Camera Awesome installed, and it doesn't make your pictures any better whatsoever, but it definitely gives you a functional user interface. If I'm talking, so you can kind of see. But and what I like about it is kind of like Snapseed with their HDRscape. Ron, I know it's oversaturation, but either way, so
Doesn't have to be that way, man. Doesn't have to be that way.
I like black and white too. So I like it has an auto awesome feature, which basically does all the photo editing for you and brings up the brightness, ups the saturation a little bit, ups your contrast, yada, et cetera, et cetera. Dave, that's a good app. Thank you. Camera Awesome. I want to talk about man, I had Camera Awesome listed. Damn you, Dave.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What am I going to talk about? I want to talk about Google today. They crossbred. What was it? Google Play magazines and Play Currents. Well, I mean, I still
Not
have
Play
Currents installed.
just Currents.
Yeah, just
Well,
Currents.
yeah, I know. Okay, from Google Play.
Well, because
do you even use an Android phone? Come on.
You still have Currents installed because
I'm trying to be really subjective here.
They have to migrate.
What'd you say, Dave?
The Currents is still on there because they have to migrate the data from Currents to Newsstand, and then at some point, Currents is either going to disappear or it'll be there, but it's a dead app, and you're not going to see it on new phones anymore.
They should do the sneak it on there like Hangouts.
Yeah, I'm digging Newsstand. So if you guys haven't downloaded Newsstand or really given it a try yet, feel free to subscribe to Droid Life because there's some fantastic content coming out of there Monday through Friday.
Well, just to talk about what Ron just said, they didn't sneak Hangouts on because it was already the Talk app, but they'd actually have to remove an APK to take Currents off.
Right. Well, I'm just saying, like, be able to replace it, like, in pulling the data like that.
Well, they could edit the application and have it just be a stub app, which points you to Newsstand, and/or remove the main launcher intent, and it wouldn't show up in drawers anymore.
What kind of data are you talking about, though? Because I mean, I sideloaded the Newsstand APK and just logged into my account, and then boom, all my Currents info was in there. It's not like I had to pour.
It might have already happened already. I figured it probably that's why they left it on, because when you installed it, maybe it had to pull the database from Currents, and then it's set to go.
Yeah, I figured all my subscription info is just in the cloud.
Well, it could be that too.
It was until they killed Google Reader.
Oh yeah, that's right. Damn you. I miss Reader. I use Feedly every day and I hate it.
Yeah, a lot of the only people I saw upset about it were people that write news, but
exactly. I can't even search through my feed. So unless I want to pay $500 a year or some crap, like what am I talking about? Anyways, Feedly is I don't want to have to pay for my news. Excuse me. Digital age. Marcus, any apps or games you would like to advise? I'm sure everyone's curious as to or how about this? You get a new Android phone, first 5 apps you install, and then I want to hear what new app you're using.
God. Okay.
I know I'm dropping bombs.
First thing I install is Falcon, Dropbox.
Choose wisely.
Instagram. Candy Crush?
No.
See, I think
Dropbox, Tasks,
Okay.
Google Voice,
Hmm.
and Feedly.
you know we're in year what, like 4, 5, 8 of Android. At this point, you can't just have 5 apps that you rely on. It's probably you have to start
Yeah.
saying what are the 10 apps that you
Well,
put on your phone.
The
I have, like,
actual
a
question
dozen.
was like, what 20 are the what first 20 apps are you that installed? I was like, 20 is too much, man. Let's only have 5. But
Go
now
through
when
all
I
of
think
them.
about it, a 10 is definitely a more reasonable question
But,
because
yeah.
5 doesn't even get you through the essentials. So
I think Dropbox is always like top 3.
Yeah, there's probably, you know what, there's probably some we need to take off list because they're just givens. Dropbox is one of those, everyone's going to put Dropbox on because everybody uses it. But I want to hear what his new...
Yeah, absolutely. The new game app.
Yeah. Yeah, I played it in my Galaxy Round video for, I guess I have to talk so you can see it. But it's Earn to Die, and it's got a picture of a truck because it's this
Nice
it's
truck.
the zombie apocalypse kind of game.
Okay.
But you're not shooting, well, you are kind of shooting the zombies, but you're driving a truck through the zombies, and you kind of have to drive this truck to get to the airport base. And it's one of those games where you just upgrade the truck over and over again and get through all the different levels, kind of like Angry Birds. But it's kind of a short storyline, so you can probably finish the game in like a weekend. If you have like 2 flights one weekend, you can kill a whole game. But it's a lot of fun. I think it's free. I believe it's free. I'm gonna go check.
Oh, I see that there's a free version, also a paid version for $1.19.
I
So
think
I'll probably have to stick to the free version for now.
Yeah, I think it's free with ads or remove the ads. But yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna check that out. Earn to Die by Not Doppler.
Word.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Ron, are you rocking any Android apps you'd like to share with us, or?
So many Android apps I'm rocking.
What about an iPhone app? We can hear about those too.
Yeah, totally.
Nobody cares about iPhone apps.
Well, I mean, I want to hear about it because we'll get it in like 3 or 4 months. So tell me now. It's like a preview.
Right, yeah,
That's actually a
yeah.
really good point.
Yeah, well, because I've been playing Ridiculous Fishing for a long time. That's now available on the Humble Bundle, and hopefully it'll be available on Play eventually. But it's a fun game. I've heard the frame rate isn't very great on Android, but it is a really, really fun game. Basically, you're a guy sitting on a boat, and you tap, and the line goes down, and you try to avoid fish on your way down. And then once you hit a fish, you try to catch as many as you can, avoid the jellyfish, and then once it gets to the top, the fish fly up in the air, and you shoot at the fish, and that's how you gain money, and you buy new stuff in the store from the money from that. So it's a fun game to play. My new iOS app that I'm playing is a game called Hatch, which you guys might get eventually.
Yeah,
And it's basically like a Tamagotchi kind of replacement kind of thing. So here's my little guy.
Didn't we just
He's
get
sad right
Tamagotchi?
Yeah,
Do we
I
really
think
need-
I think it was like a couple of months ago we actually got Tamagotchi.
Yeah,
That's
so
a cute
I
little
don't
guy.
know if you can. Yeah, it's my little guy. His name's Charlie. He's a little sad. I don't know what I guess because I haven't looked at him in a couple hours.
Why is his name Charlie?
I don't know. It just came to me. It just felt good.
Just came, bro.
Yeah. So maybe you guys will see that eventually. But it's a pretty sweet app. He poops and he eats food and he can't die. I asked the developer if they can die like a Tamagotchi. They can't die, but they will run away if you ignore them for long enough.
Where do they run away to?
Someone else's phone.
I
Someone
guess.
else's phone?
They run away to the trash
They
bin.
they actually do. Yeah, so like I signed up early before the app had actually come out, and so like they sent you like an egg in an email or whatever, and so that part wasn't working yet when I first launched the app, so I just started with a new one or whatever, and then when I imported my egg that I originally adopted, it said, oh yeah, that makes sense. I bet you this little guy is for somebody else, so we'll go ahead and give him to the right owner or whatever. It's like just tell me that he ran away and that he hates me or something. Don't give me this BS that he went away to a farm.
He got ran over by a truck.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you know you can take a picture of your little pet with your real life pet? That's so cute. Look at that.
It's adorable. Yeah, people are asking where a mailbox is for Android. Yeah, good luck.
Good luck with that.
It is an awesome app, though. So if you have an iOS device, get a mailbox.
We're waiting. I want to wrap it up. Oh, it's been an hour and a half. Oh my God, I'm sorry everyone for keeping you for so long. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us on this special little Phoenix edition of the Droid Live Show. It's been a blast. Marcus, it's always great talking to you, man. Are you going to CES this year?
I am indeed. I'll
Dude,
probably see you guys there. Yeah.
You'll definitely see me there for sure. Are you going on behalf of anybody or just yourself?
No, I booked it myself, and
Sweet.
I'm gonna be there for like the entire time this year. Last year I was there for like 3 days.
Yeah, not all week for sure.
I went under Nvidia's wing, so I was there for like the days that they decided that would be okay to go. I'm going this year for like Sunday to Saturday, so the whole week.
That's great. Well, I get in on Sunday, so we'll definitely have to try and meet up. Are you over 21 now?
19.
Okay, so
oh my goodness, you're
I can
19
buy
years
you a
old and
drink
it's
under
huge.
the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't say that right now while we're podcasting.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with drinking a beer.
Holy
Ron.
crap, you're only 19 years old and you're this huge internet sensation. Look at you, man. It's awesome.
Coming from the child model. This is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of people know who I am, right?
Ron Fringa, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Android blocker hates Android, blah, blah, blah. Anyways,
Yeah.
Dave, of
Yeah.
course.
Jim Dalrymple knows who I am.
I know. They all know who you are. Relax. And, yeah, that's as Kellen would say, it's another one in the books. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we'll talk to you next week, I hope. And until then, keep it real. All right. Say goodbye, everybody. We're going
Peace.
bye, everybody.
nighttime.
Bye.